guys, me Josh, and I'm doing another updated ranking. This time is for the Superman franchise. I decided to do this one first before I tackle Batman. So, let me just say this is my opinion, and this list is still the same with a new one. So, let's go and start. First of all, let me just say right now that the Supergirl movie is not getting put on this list, even though it's part of the Christopher Reeve Superman saga. That movie is just a piece of crap, but I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, we're going to rank this franchise from worst one to best one, and if you have a problem with this, tell me in your comments down below your ranking. Don't get offensive. Let's get started. At number 8, we have Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. This is one of the worst superhero movies I have seen. This is literally a crappy film. Nuclear Man is not even a freaking villain from the comics, and you just freaking put him in here for nothing. Chris Reeve and some of the actors, they try, but they have nothing to work with. The story sucks. The effects look like crap. This movie doesn't even feel like a movie. This movie feels like just something made by the studio, and even the fights with Superman and Nuclear Man are not even well choreographed. So honestly, this is just a wasted piece of crap that needs to be buried in the ground and forgotten. This is even worse than Batman Under the Red Hood and The Amazing Been There and Done That Man. And that's why it still remains at number 8. At number 7, we have Superman 3. I still hate this one, but this one is loads better than Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. But that doesn't say much, because the way they made Superman evil is just freaking atrocious. It's horrible. It looks awful. And the way you disrespected the character like this is just stupid and horrendous. And just Chris Reeve, all the actors, again, they do good. The music is fine. But Richard Lester, his direction is not very good. This is just honestly not a good film. And just with all due respect, this is just a big disappointment for those who are anticipating it. And Richard Pryor is good in here, but he does get very annoying. So overall, Superman 3, an improvement over Superman 4, but still has issues. At number 6, Superman the movie. Now, the reason why this one is at number 6 is because I'm not going to give it hate. I don't hate this one. It's just a little slow paced, but that's fine. And this one was a great start to the Superman series. I couldn't have thought of how to introduce the character Superman better than this. Richard Donner's direction was amazing. I have heard that it's a TV version, and then there is a 3-hour version by my friend Sean, aka Ver2081, and honestly, I'll just stick with this one, because this movie is already great, and Chris Reeve was a great choice to play Superman, and he's a perfect Boy Scout, as everyone is used to. Margot Kidder was great. Gene Hackman is great. Marlon Brando was great. Everyone in this movie was great. Great story, great acting. Just everything in this movie is great. And the way this movie just looks is fantastic for 1978. So This film and this classic Superman theme never gets old. So number 6, you got Superman the movie. At number 5, we have Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut. My version of Superman 2 that I prefer. Look, the Richard Lester one is good. Don't get me wrong, but I like this one because you get to see what was Richard Donner's original version before Richard Lester took over and changed it completely. They do keep some Richard Lester stuff, but it's still really cool, and I still like what they were able to do. It looks pretty cool, and the new scenes they added in are really cool. I don't like the Richard Donner ending of this though. That's one problem I have. But I do love the scene with Marlon Brando and Christopher Reeve talking when he goes to Fortress of Solitude. And Spider-Man 2 even used this movie as inspiration for Peter's story. With him having to choose between Spider-Man and Mary Jane and him losing his powers. And Terrence Stamp as General Zod, really good. And just, yeah. This cut is really good. I like this cut. So, yeah. Which brings me to number 4, which is... Number 4 is Superman 2, the Richard Lester version. Great sequel. I think this is really good. I love the acting once again from Chris Reeve, Margot Kidder, Gene Hackman. Also, you got Terrence Stamp in here as General Zod. I like this plan. I like this motivation. I like his other 2 friends too. I like the story here. I think the story is good. I think Richard Lester's direction is okay. But I like that with Superman, he wants to choose between saving the world and Lois, and he wants a normal life. And the Supergirl show, they took inspiration from this with the one episode on season 1 where Kara, aka Supergirl, wants to be human. So I do say that I give that a big round of applause there because this is pretty good, and I do like this. And just when you watch Superman 2, either version, you could watch this one, but I prefer the Richard Donner cut because there are issues I have with this one, but it doesn't make it a bad movie regardless. So that's my number 4. At number 3, this is going to get a little controversial, but anyways, let's say Superman Returns. I know there are a majority of Superman fans who hate this movie, and I know there's people who like this movie. I do like the film. I like some aspects of it. I like Bryan Singer's direction. I like the story, and I like the character development. Yeah, there's not enough action, but it could have been could have had a little more, which is one of the downfalls of this movie. But everything else in here is good. I love the production design, but my problem with the production design is that, okay, say what you will about Brett Ratner, but at least with Red Dragon, he was able to recreate the entire prison cell from Silence of the Lambs amazingly well. Whether you hate X-Men The Last Stand or like it, or hate Brett Ratner or like him in general, you have to at least give him credit. But my problem with here is that if this is a sequel to Superman 2, why is this set in 2006? Huh? Why? That's one of the confusing plot things I don't like. I love Brenda Routh as Superman. I love Kate Bosworth. I liked her more as I watched the movie. She may not be the best Lois Lane since Margot Kidder, but she does try. And James Marsden, he's underused here, so it was pointless. You could have kept him in X-Men 3. Kevin Spacey is really great as Lex Luthor. He's my favorite Lex Luthor. I love the costume. I love the music by John Ottman. But there are things I don't like. Parker Posey, I really kind of can do without. Kal Penn is in this movie and he's underused. The scene with Superman getting his tail handed to him, I like that scene, but honestly, you should not have go as extreme lengths to have him get severely stabbed by Lex Luthor with a shard of kryptonite. I hate that part of the movie. I hate that part, and it brings this movie down on rewatches. But it's still this is still a good movie. It's just a little disappointing, but it's okay. But it's still a watchable film. So I can't give it that much hate. So there's number 3. And number 2, we have Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. No, I'm not going to say theatrical or ultimate because I'm talking about the movie in general. This movie still gets a lot of flack from everyone, but we can all agree that the majority of people out there love this movie. I loved this movie when it first came out. This is my number 1 most anticipated film of the year. I loved Ben Affleck's Batman, Bruce Wayne. He proved the haters wrong, and it was cool seeing him play another superhero again after Daredevil. My problem with his Batman is that he kills, which I didn't like. I still don't like, but his warehouse scene was awesome. And Henry Cavill as Superman, a lot of hate from him, especially with this movie. I love his version. He's conflicted. That's what I like. I know people don't like him being conflicted and emo. But he's not emo. He's a conflicted guy. He's an outcast. Of course, you can have your perfect Boy Scout Superman, but give me something different. And Gal Gadot is just really hot as Wonder Woman, Diana Prince. She really proved the naysayers wrong. There are still haters out there who don't like her. I think she's a perfect choice. I couldn't have thought of anybody else. If you were going to play Wonder Woman, you gotta have someone a little unknown, and easily a big-breasted girl would honestly just kind of distracted the male audience watching this movie. But I was happy with Gal Gadot's casting. I defended all 3 of these actors' casting choice. I love the story of the movie. I love the action scenes. Superman's relationship with Lois Lane. Him having to talk to the people in the White House. Holly Hunter's underused. Jesse Eisenberg. Yes, he is way too over the top, but I will say he's decent at best. He couldn't be any worse than Bryan Cranston, which Bryan Cranston's Lex Luthor. I don't see it because I hated Bryan Cranston in the Total Recall remake. I don't mean that. I mean that genuinely because I hated him as the villain. He totally sucked in that film, but it's not that bad, guys. BVS is not really that bad. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I don't think this is the monstrosity a lot of people say it is. The theatrical cut does have issues, but the ultimate cut is a freaking flawless masterpiece in my opinion, and this movie will be seen as a cult classic. So yeah, that's all I have to say about BVS until my Batman ranking and my DCEU ranking. But as my number 1 favorite Superman movie is, I'm gonna have to say it, this is gonna get extremely controversial, but Man of Steel. Say what you will about this movie. Yes, I know, I hear your complaints, but this is the best Superman movie since Christopher Reeve's original classic from 1978, and I think it's a shame because a lot of fans don't like this one. They were expecting the Boy Scout Superman. Look, you can have Boy Scout Superman, but I want some. There comes a time. Has any of you fans of the Chris Reeve movies who hate on Henry Cavill's Superman ever stopped and wonder, those out there who are Superman fans actually want something different? Honestly, you don't. Because the negativity towards this movie is not necessary. You only did this because it's not Boy Scout Superman. But Henry Cavill, I thought it was a great choice. I like him. Amy Adams, she's beautiful as Lois Lane. I love their chemistry. I buy them. I like the music by Hans Zimmer. Michael Shannon, I really love him as Zod. My problem with him is that he does scream a lot of his dialogue, but at least he had a clear motivation. I'm not saying Terrence Stamp didn't, but I liked Michael Shannon more. And yeah, there are parts in this movie where I can't see what's going on because the camera does feel shaky in some parts. This movie does have a little bit of Chris Nolan on it, but Zack Snyder just clearly directed this movie amazingly well. And I love that we spend a good majority of the beginning of this movie on Krypton, and they do the origin in flashbacks instead of just redoing it again. And the action is really good. I love the visuals too. And the one scene everybody hates that I still defend, even though I will say it's the same exact scene from Watchmen, I will still defend, is the scene where Zod is killed by Superman. And people say he could have done something else. He could have covered, if he would have covered his eyes, his hands would have gotten shot off and everyone would not have cared. But I loved that they went that route with Superman, and you feel bad for him because he's an outcast. And yeah, he will be Boy Scout Superman. Henry Cavill's even said it in interviews for BVS and Justice League, I think. He will be Boy Scout Superman, but you gotta give it time. You gotta adjust to something new. So, that's my ranking of the Superman franchise. Let me know what you guys think of the ranking for this particular franchise. What is your ranking? Do you like my list? Do you not like it? Do you agree, disagree? And if you like this, you can click here and we can all have a good time.